Hello everyone, welcome back to EachPage Flow. I'm Sela, and this is episode 14, or episode 4 of season 2. Today's episode will be dedicated to Sekai-Ichi Hatsukoi. It's one of those manga that I just keep coming back to, and today I'll share just why it's such a favorite of mine. Now, if you're new here to the podcast, it's all about books, manga, and anime, or at least season 2 has been dedicated to manga and anime. They have been with me since forever. I have either read them a long time ago or recently. And all of this captured me in some way. But of course, the podcast is full of passion for all these stories that we all love. For those who might not be as familiar with Sekai-Ichi Hatsukoi or the world's greatest first love, the case of Onodera Ritsu, it is a boys' love manga series or yaoi by Nakamura Shungiku sensei. It's basically a spin-off of Junjou Romantica, which some of you might know. And if you watch my previous podcast about this one, then you'll know more about Junjou. But I like Sekaiichi better than Junjou Romantica, to be honest, and I can't help it. The story mainly follows Onodera Ritsu, or Ritsu Onodera, if you like to say the name first and then the last name. I usually go back and forth, but I like to stick to the original language, which is Japanese, of course. And they use last name first. That is the end of my teaching lesson of today. Anyway, Onodera starts a new job at a publishing company, and he only finds out as he's literally there at the job, he cannot backtrack, he's already there, that his new boss is none other than his high school love, Takano Masamune. So here starts the drama and the rekindling of old flames and the emotional roller coaster that comes with this. Richard, as one of his coworkers call him, gets on my nerves, to be honest. Uh, because he doesn't want to fall in love for Takano again, but at such close offices and seeing him every day, not to mention that they live close by, it's all becomes rather difficult for Onodera, and Takano does not make it easy for him by constantly asking him out. And not just that, there are several plus 18 moments that I would not mention right now. All of this is highly specific on the manga, but not as much on the anime. Now, what makes Sekai-Ichi Hatsukoi stand out, or what makes it so special? Well, for me, is the characters and the relationships. Isn't just a story about love, it's about struggles of those love and the challenges of the publishing world, which was really eye-opening for me. And if half of it is real, then it's a scary world to be in a publishing house over there. They basically sleep like once every 3 weeks or month, or at the end of their publishing cycle, how they called it. And it's really something to admire. All of the editing, and not just the editing team, but the manga authors and all of it is just, it really blows your mind to read this one. Also, this manga is about how the past shaped us and who we become, because Onodera is basically that. He is very bitter, because he thought that Takano had broken up with him, that there was a misunderstanding 10 years ago or something like that. So Onodera, when he was in high school, he was a boy full of hope and love and everything. And then he became all bitter and grumbling, And I mean, he blamed Takano for it, of course. But after they fixed that little misunderstanding, he's still like that. Um, it is really, I mean, Takano was like reverse in high school. Even though he was also disappointed by Onodera. Uh, it all so I mean they fixed their problem. I'm not gonna mention all of it because it's spoilers. But they fixed these problems, and yet Onodera is trying to deny his feelings and everything. But Takano insists on it constantly and is always there for him since he's his boss and not just that, he wants to help him and he wants to be with him again and date him again. Uh, but the truth is that, as with Junjou Romantica, we don't see that much on the anime. Yes, the main theme of it is there, but I like the manga goes beyond what the anime adaptation covers. So the anime is cool and everything, but the manga just gives you a bit of a wow factor to keep going volume after volume. There's more backstory, more character development, and more emotional weight in it. And like with Junjou Romantica, sorry, I'm comparing the two, but Sekai-Ichi Hatsukoi has multiple stories and point of views, and the main one, Onodera and Takano, are not my favorite. I actually like Kisa and Ko better, and I guess that is similar a reason to why I prefer Hiroki and Nawaki from Junjou. And this is because Kisa, Shota, and Yukina Ko, they don't hold back, and it's heavy and fire and everything. And more so after Kisa faces his feelings. Um, Even if he's constantly, almost annoyingly reflecting on the fact that he's years older than Yukina. But if I ignore that, I prefer this story much more than the main one. So there's another one I prefer less than these two, and he's the best friend Yoshino Chiaki and Hattori Yoshiyuki. And this is the one that I almost skip when I reread. As they have a friends to lovers thing going on and an author editor kind of thing. But I won't get into details about this too. So, uh, of course, there are some personal favorite moments. I have to say there are some just scenes in Sekai-Ichi Hatsukoi that just hit differently every time I read them. But one that I especially like is I think it's volume 2, chapter 4, if I'm not mistaken. The Takano keeps on system and talking to Onodera about what is happening and to face the fact that he still has feelings for him now. But he also tells him that when they were young, if he forgot that Onodera was the one to confess first, but Takano already knew who he was, who Onodera was. And this is like a big shock of what's been happening in volume 1 and volume 2 because Onodera thought it was all one-sided and everything. But yes, there's also on volume 2, chapter 1, Onodera is, I mean, reminiscent about what happened before as well. What he said, what happened in high school, and I particularly like this volume because it had these moments that is where you see. I mean, it's like an explanation of everything, and you keep getting more sucked into the story. So, yes, I know I said that Onodera and Takano are not my favorite, but I mean, they're in the top along with Kisa and Ko. This is one of my favorite yaoi mangas to read, to be honest. But I don't want to give many spoilers, and I wanted to keep this one shorter than the others. And so I think I have rambled on about all the main characters in the manga, and I will leave it up to here. I didn't mention the anime that much because there's more to the manga. There's no other reason. If you only watch the anime, I recommend that you read the manga for sure. You will be thankful of everything you learn, and I mean, it does have funny moments as well as sad ones and infuriating ones, and it's a really good mix in there. So I do I recommend it? Of course, recommend it 100%. And I also recommend that you read Junjou Romantica if you like Javi. And that's it. Truly now. Thank you for joining me on this episode of EachPage Flow. And if you haven't picked up Sekai-Ichi Hatsukoi yet, I once more recommend it. And you can check out my written review of this manga on eachpage.org. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with fellow manga lover. Thank you, dearest, and see you on the next one.